At the age of 66, British synthesizer mastermind Dave Ball, one half of the legendary group Soft Cell, passed dead. Ball's passing signifies the end of a chapter in contemporary electronic music. He was well known for his groundbreaking work that influenced the sound of synth-pop in the 1980s. Fans all across the world saw him as more than just a musician. He was a sound designer who could transform a single note into a heartbeat, an emotion, or a whisper of defiance. Dave Ball was born in 1959 in Blackpool, England, and grew up in a generation that was known for pushing musical boundaries. His early interest in sound, the pulse of underground clubs, the beat of city life, and the buzz of machines, would ultimately shape Soft Cell's sound. But Ball's technical skill wasn't the only thing that really set him apart. It was his ability to blend human imperfection, warmth, and vulnerability with cold, mechanical synthesizers. He brought life to electronic music in a time before digital perfection. A silent mastermind whose voice is still breathing. In addition to lamenting the passing of a gifted musician, we are paying tribute to Dave Ball, a guy who revolutionized the definition of feeling. His synthesizers spoke, act, and rejoiced in addition to humming and pulsating. He demonstrated that even robots may convey profoundly human stories by bridging the gap between the mechanical and the spiritual through his music. Ball continued to be the quiet force behind one of the most significant duos in musical history for many years. He didn't follow trends or the limelight. Rather, he let the music speak for itself, and it did so simultaneously loudly, gently, and honestly. His curiosity, his experimenting, and his conviction that sound could speak to the soul without using words were all there in every Soft Cell song. Records and memories are not the only things that Dave Ball leaves behind. He leaves behind a generation of artists who have learned from him that creativity is about truth rather than perfection. His influence may still be heard in the echo of contemporary electronic music, in any song that dares to combine rhythm with sensitivity. His songs are still playing in clubs, on headphones, and in the hearts of people who found solace in his music, even though his hands are no longer on the keys. Even though Dave Ball is no longer with us, his music continues to bring life to the world he built. And somewhere, his spirit continues to dance, free, timeless, and unforgettable, in the soft hum of a synth. The ascent of a pair that revolutionized everything. Ball met Marc Almond, an art student at Leeds Polytechnic, in the late 1970s. They were both restless artists who were drawn to the fringes of music, art, and performance. In 1978, they joined up to form Soft Cell, a collaboration that combined Almond's dramatic, frequently confrontational lyrics with Ball's airy electronic sounds. The record Tainted Love, which was a copy of Gloria Jones's 1964 soul song, marked their breakthrough in 1981. It was a phenomenon rather than merely a hit. One of the decade's defining sounds was Ball's hypnotic synth loop, which was straightforward but captivating. The song became one of the all-time best-selling songs and dominated worldwide charts for weeks. Because of its popularity, Soft Cell became more than simply another new wave band. Rather, it was a cultural revolution in attitude and sound. During this time, Dave Ball's method of producing music was nothing short of groundbreaking. In order to produce textures that felt both futuristic and incredibly human, he frequently used minimal equipment, mixing analog synths and drum machines. Marc Almond's emotionally charged vocals were a natural fit for his brooding, pulsating, and atmospheric music. Together, they depicted tales of loneliness, love, lust, and life in the neon-lit shadows of the city. Beyond Tainted Love. Ball's talent went well beyond that record, even though Tainted Love solidified their place in musical history. The profundity of Soft Cell's albums, Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret, 1981, The Art of Falling Apart, 1983, and This Last Night in Sodom, 1984, was largely overlooked by mainstream listeners. Wrapped in the gloss of electronic pop, they were dark, poetic investigations of addiction, desire, and the human condition. These records have a distinct vibe thanks to Ball's sound design. Generations of electronic artists have been influenced by his talent for making machines sound emotional. Songs like Numbers, Bedsitter, and Say Hello, Wave Goodbye were poignant touchstones for fans who felt marginalized or misunderstood. Ball's music gave the synthetic a soulful quality. Ball kept developing even after Soft Cell broke up in 1984. He released songs that combined dance, techno, and experimental never wavered, constantly focusing on the future rather than the past. Ball remained a behind-the-scenes inventor, never pursuing celebrity but only sound, while Marc Almond pursued a prosperous solo career. A man who had an equal love for humans and machines. Dave Ball was exceptional not only for his musical prowess, but also for his humility. He frequently referred to himself as a mechanic and craftsman who used electronics to create emotive places rather than as a star. Over the years, he has spoken in interviews about his calm amazement at the impact their work has had on individuals. To me, synthesizers were like painting tools, he once remarked. They could be used to blend, shade, and mold emotions. His career was shaped by that ideology. Ball used technology to convey honesty and frailty, in contrast to many producers who used it to dominate. His passion for analog equipment and old machinery was an artistic decision to maintain a connection to the flaws that give music a human feel, not a sign of nostalgia. He was courteous, humorous, and incredibly interested, according to those who worked with him. He was captivated by sound in all its manifestations, from ordinary rhythms to the buzz of an amplifier. He could spend hours experimenting with a single tone, changing frequencies until it felt right, according to friends and collaborators. He was known for his meticulous attention to emotional detail. Challenges and fortitude. Beneath his composed facade, Ball struggled with both personal and medical issues. Later in life, he struggled with a number of illnesses that occasionally prevented him from performing live. But his spirit never wavered. He continued to create, mix, and mentor even when performance became challenging. Those around him were motivated by his tenacity. Soft Cell got back together in 2018 for what was declared to be their final concert in London's O2 Arena. As Ball and Almond gave a nostalgic yet thrilling performance, the crowd filled the venue, many of them crying. It was a celebration of their relationship and creative collaboration that had withstood decades of change, in addition to their legacy. For those who saw it, the performance was a farewell not to the band, but to a time in music history when individualism and fearlessness were valued. Ball's final years may have been constrained by his health, but his inventiveness and intellect remained keen. He continued to produce and experiment far into his 60s, serving as a reminder to upcoming artists that creativity is ageless. A lasting legacy. Although there is a hole in the music industry following Dave Ball's passing, his influence is still felt worldwide. Artists like Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, 9 Inch Nails, and The Weeknd have all been influenced by his sound. Pioneers like him gave rise to the notion that electronic music might be profoundly human, poetic, and emotional. Whether they realize it or not, contemporary producers are referencing Ball's legacy when they employ synthesizers to convey happiness or sadness. He demonstrated that restraint can make music timeless and that simplicity can be effective in a field that frequently praises excess. His songs were simple, yet they included whole worlds. Social media has been used by fans of all ages to express their sorrow and appreciation. Many talk about how Soft Cell's songs, which understood suffering and longing, saved them throughout their lonely adolescent years. Others recall dancing to Tainted Love at nightclubs when they initially had a sense of liberation. Perhaps Dave Ball's greatest legacy is his connection rather than his notoriety or honors. Honors from the music industry. Tributes from musicians, producers, and fans all across the world came in at the news of his passing. In a touching tribute, Marc Almond expressed his grief over losing both a close friend and a musical partner. Ball, he said, gave sound to our dreams and shadows and was a man of quiet genius and deep humor. Similar opinions were expressed by other pop and electronic musicians. He was dubbed one of the true architects of electronic emotion by fellow synth pioneer Gary Newman. Members of the Human League and Depeche Mode also paid tribute, praising him for paving the way for British synth-pop's international success. His influence was recognized even by more recent EDM and indie pop performers. Numerous others mentioned how Ball's analog synth work inspired their current sound design decisions. His straightforward style, which prioritizes emotion above functionality, became a classic model for artistic expression in electronic music. The man who operates the machine. Dave Ball maintained a surprisingly grounded demeanor despite his widespread celebrity. Those who knew him well remember that he seldom bragged about his achievements or his life as a celebrity. He liked to spend his evenings laughing.